It's Dirshu Mishnah Berurah. We're continuing Siman Lamed Beis. Apologies, the lateness of the shiurim the past few days. And today we're going to be learning the majority of Sif Tes Zayin. But before we get to Sif Tes Zayin, we pulled up a drop short yesterday. We left off one little Mishnah Berurah and Sif Katan Mem Daled that the Mishnah Berurah taught us that it has to be the size of a letter of a small letter, Moli Ois Kitana. And the Mishnah Berurah, we saw the picture about this, but now let's read the Mishnah Berurah that says that what is that? Hainu Yud. That's the Yud. With the bottom little piece of it, the little thorn. He says, as we saw, we're going to see Mirta Hashem that without that piece on the bottom, it doesn't have a din of a Yud. And now let's begin. Simin Sifte Zayin, excuse me. Nifsak Achas Me'oisiais. It's cracked, says the Rama. Habshutais, one of the straight letters. The nun, the vav, the vav of the zayin. Or one of the legs got a crack. So you have a broken leg. What is the din? Says the Mechaber, Sheinoi. You have a child. He's not smart. He's not stupid. If he knows how to read, kosher. If that child sees this letter with a crack in it and he says what the letter is kosher. Vim lav puzzle. And says the Rama, you do not have to cover over all the other letters and just show that letter like we are noyig. You could show him all the letters and ask him what that letter is. If the kid knows, it is kosher. Says the Rama, if we see that the tzura of the letter is not there, it's possible even if the kid knows how to read it. So obviously it's a little bit complicated over here, because on one hand the Mechaber is teaching us we ask the child. On the other hand they're saying, but if it doesn't look like a letter, don't even trust the child. So we have this middle level that it looks like a letter. It looks like a letter, but we're not sure, is this a crack in the letter? That's going to be the case that we're going to ask a child who's not a chacham and not a tipesh to try to read that letter. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sivkatan Memhei, explaining what exactly this case is. Nifsak yesh lefarish b'shnei ofanim. There's two ways of learning this, and then we'll see the picture. Oyim machmas nekev. There's a hole. V'zein kosher kiyim b'nekev acher kach. That's only if the crack, the hole comes after they wrote the letter. With them, as we've seen. Or it's lacking some ink in that place. Even if as you're writing it, it's missing a little bit. Not that it's a full hole. That's the case of the Shulchan Aruch. Habshutais. Because we're talking about a straight letter, it doesn't help if there's the part of a yud left over. Nearest kiyudu basel. If you have a vav and just the top of the vav is left, it looks like a yud. That's going to be a problem. So you ask the child. Regular nun with the leg of the nun gets cut off. Peirusha nun pshuta straight nun ukiyetza kigoyin kaf pshuta sharagle ksara v'dem iksas the dalet or the reish, and if it's short, it's going to look like the dalid or the reish, a chav seifis, without the bottom of its leg, looks like either a dalid or a reish. So what do? You ask a child, imtinoik, says the Mishnah Berurah of Kotam Emchas, ayin betash ekos of the hach nifsak marish nifsak sas me oirech ois lumata legamri v'loy nishar mimenu, and what's left? Raka chilek shekoydem ahefsek, only the part before the crack. Oh, it's totally because we're not sure if there's still enough that it looks like the letter. Then we ask the child, says the Taz. Avol explains the Mishnah Berurah. If you have this vav and there's a crack straight through it, but there's still the part of the bottom left, on the width, you have a part of the bottom, but you can't ask a child. Why? We saw this yesterday. The child in his brain puts this top part with the bottom part together, and then he says it's a vav. But it's cracked straight in the middle, so there's no tziruf. And that's like regular olive, and that's like the leg of the olive gets cut off. So how do you do it? You would cover over the bottom part after the crack, and then see if based on the top part, the kid still says it's a vav, or now he thinks it's a yud, etc. And this is not what the Shulchan Aruch meant. You don't have to cover over the rest of the letters. Because in this case, for sure, Moed the Shulchan Aruch agrees the Zarek Lechas has got it covered up. Chenes comes a Chrein is like much cause of Sev Yeshua. Yaakov Hakashit Samiri Uber Agrovs and Lavav Mashra Gamkin Kataz. V'loy Mitzarv and Lo Eis Mashalamat. So very, very important halacha. You're not going to say you have the part on top and part on bottom. Let the kid look at it and it looks like a letter. No, if it's fully cracked through, then you cover over the bottom part and let the kid just look at the top. Loy Chacham, the kid's not a Chacham or a Tipish, says Mishnah Berurah Sefkatim Memtes. Hainu Chacham Kol Kach Shemevin Eini that he understands. And he can explain. If the kid's smart and he knows letters, that doesn't make him a chacham eitiv. Maybe doesn't understand what he's reading. Meaning, if the kid knows what the pasuk is, then it's not going to help, because then he knows what the pasuk is and he'll figure out the letter. But if the kid is just a chacham and oisius, you see how you should approach a child. That we call a kid a chacham if he knows the letters, then that kid could be used. He doesn't know how the exact form of the letters, but he knows how to read the letters. If he says this is not that letter, possible, it's going to be possible. Continues Mishnah Berurah. The Magen Avraham says you do have to cover it. The kid will chap and he'll keep on reading. Parsha doesn't know that parsha. So you got to cover up everything until that letter says the Magen Avraham b'shem the Maharit. So you definitely don't have to cover over within the word. The machlekes is the words before that word if you have to cover over, but that word itself, you have the word I can't think of a word with a vav right now. You have the word vein. Let's just look down. You have the word vein. So the vav aleph yud nun, you not have to cover over any part of it. You leave all four letters. Hois kigoyin alfin shein yud shalem negaz. The last one, the letters, the yud does not touch itself. This Mishnah Berurah is Sivkata Nun Beis, yes, which the Ramah said, if we see that's not left over the Tzuras of the Ais, then it's automatically possible. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Kigoin, an Alfin, Shein Yud Shalem Nagas Alatz, let's see the top of the Aleph that's not touching. Chen Kudas Ha Pei, Shein Nagas Legago, it's not touching the roof. Chen Choloi Shein Beshuta Shein Shehafsik Be'amsa Shu Pasal, in all those cases, it's going to be possible. Beinim Nasa Zebeis Aksiva Olacher Aksiva. Shaloi Mahani Kriyas Atinak Ella Hechi Shenifsak Ais, Ubatzer la mishir, and because of that, it looks like another letter. We don't know. Is this a vav or a yod? That's when we ask the child. That's why it's going to help. Because the kid can tell us what it is. Harayud. V'adin lois nun pshuta v'kav pshuta. She's suffering yislam shir ark, and you don't know is the kaf or a nun safis. I kav kfufa shadam mixes lebeis. Kagavna. She's listabigim timunasa daimel lois acheres. It's whenever you have a suffix, it looks like another letter. That's when you ask the child. Avalehecha explains the Mishnah Berurah. Sha'anu rayin shein ha'is nisha b'tzura. So we see that it's not the right letter. Ma'mayil briyas atinik. What does it help if the kid can see it? Ve'nayu rayin R-I-C shein ha'is b'tzura. L'chein lachshar alav sharegel. If the bottom leg is not touching the middle line, doesn't help. It's still didn't get greno aleph. Would not help if the kid can read it kach. Rak b'safek let him yish b'shir karoi mahani v'choze b'loi tikkun le'inyin tikkun ayin a bir halacha. Look at the bir halacha. We're running very late, but let's for a moment just see over here the pictures, exactly what's going on. Here you go. This is really the whole sif right here. Sif Zayin, as you see, that it's showing you that what happens, you have your vav, that the bottom half is cut off for your Zayin, and you're not sure what the letter is. That's when it's going to help to ask the child what it is. Here he shows you the size of the ice, like the Yod. And here it's showing you that when you're going to cover it over, this was the Magen Avraham b'shem the Maharit, that what are you going to cover over? You're going to cover over the words before it, but not within the word itself, like the Mishnah Berurah said. And finally, we saw in the Ramah, the last Mishnah Berurah, that if it's clear that the part of the letter is not touching, then it would not help to ask the child. And we'll pick up from here, B'siyata D'Ishmael.